Welcome to the Scenario Podcast, your guide to mental health and well-being. Each episode, we uncover practical tools, discuss expert insights, and explore how supplements can transform your mental health journey. Get ready to learn, grow, and thrive with us.
You ever had those days where your brain just feels like it's trudging through mud? You're overwhelmed, mentally drained, maybe just totally foggy, especially when stress really hits hard. It feels like your mental gears just seize up right when you need them the most. So the big question really is, how do we actually stay sharp, stay focused when life gets demanding? Today we're doing a deep dive into something pretty fascinating, L-Tyrosine. Our mission is, well, not just to explain it, but to really uncover what the science, based on all the sources you sent, reveals about how this amino acid might just be a key player, maybe even a secret weapon, for keeping that mental edge when you're under pressure.
That's absolutely right. I mean, in our modern world, the demands on our brains are just constant, relentless sometimes. Tight deadlines, information overload. Our cognitive functions are under, immense pressure. And that's why giving our brain the right kind of support is more critical than ever before. L-tyrosine, as our deep dive really showed, kind of steps in as this vital building block for some truly crucial brain chemicals, the ones that directly impact your mood, your motivation, and importantly, your ability to focus when it really counts.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Fundamentally, what is L-tyrosine?
So L-tyrosine is a type of amino acid. It's one of the natural building blocks your body uses to create proteins. Technically, it's called a non-essential amino acid, which just means your body can produce it on its own, usually from another amino acid called phenylalanine, which, you get from food.
Right, the non-essential label. That's where the sources really made me pause. It feels a bit misleading, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because the real insight, like you said from our deep dive, is that under actual real-world pressure, exactly when you need your brain firing on all cylinders, your body's enough might suddenly not be enough.
Exactly. You've hit the nail on the head there. That's the critical nuance.
So what are these vital brain chemicals that's so crucial for building?
Okay, so it's the direct precursor for a really important trio of neurotransmitters. These are absolutely essential for cognitive function and how we respond to stress. First, there's dopamine, super important for motivation, mood, feeling pleasure, and of course, focus. Then you've got norepinephrine. That keeps you alert, concentrated. And finally, epinephrine, which most people know as adrenaline. That helps your body respond really quickly to stress. Now, here's the critical bit from the sources. When you're under pressure, doesn't matter if it's lack of sleep, emotional stress, physical fatigue, your brain isn't just using these chemicals, it's burning through them, like really fast. Think of jet fuel during takeoff. And if you don't have enough raw material, like L-tyrosine, to resupply them, well, it's not just a feeling of fogginess. Your mental engine literally starts to sputter. That's when you feel foggy, unmotivated, maybe even burnt out.
Wow, it sounds like your brain's trying to run a marathon on an empty tank whenever stress hits hard. So what's the practical answer here? What do the sources suggest about refilling that crucial reserve?
Can supplementing with L-tyrosine actually make a noticeable difference? The sources strongly suggest it can, yeah. Supplementing with L-tyrosine seems to really help replenish these key brain chemicals. It basically gives your mind the support it needs to stay sharper, maybe calmer, even when you're, under the gun. There was a significant finding mentioned from the Journal of Psychiatric Research that highlighted this. It said, L-tyrosine improves cognitive performance under stress, unquote. And they specifically noted its role in supporting neurotransmitter function in really challenging situations, like sleep deprivation or intense multitasking, which is incredibly relevant today, isn't it?
That study does sound incredibly significant, but when it says improves cognitive performance under stress, what kind of stress are we talking about specifically? Did the research dig into the types of challenging situations where this improvement was, most clear?
It did, yeah. The research often points towards acute stressors. Think scenarios where your cognitive resources get depleted really quickly. Our sources detail, broadly, 3 main ways L-tyrosine seems to support mental function in these kinds of situations. First, it directly boosts dopamine and norepinephrine production. Like we just talked about, stress drains these fast. L-tyrosine supplementation can help bring those levels back up, which can lead to sharper focus, maybe faster reaction times. For instance, there was a double-blind, placebo-controlled study, I think it was in pharmacology, biochemistry, and behavior, that showed L-tyrosine significantly improved cognitive performance in healthy adults who were put under severe acute stress, like cold and low oxygen.
Wow, that's intense.
Yeah, pretty intense. A real test of mental fortitude. Second, it seems to support working memory, specifically in high-stress environments. Now, Working memory, that's your brain's ability to hold and juggle information short term. It's often one of the first things to kind of falter when stress hormones like cortisol spike. The sources showed how L-tyrosine might help preserve this really crucial function, even when you're dealing with sleep deprivation or multitasking. This makes it potentially really relevant for, say, students cramming for exams or professionals juggling a million projects, or even shift workers with those tough schedules. There was a study from the University of Leiden, for example, which found participants given L-tyrosine showed better working memory during demanding tasks compared to a placebo group. It's sort of like a buffer for your mental scratch pad.
A buffer, I like that.
And third, L-tyrosine appears to enhance mental resilience. It's not just about the immediate focus, right? It's about building your capacity to withstand stress over a longer period. By helping replenish those depleted neurotransmitters, it can potentially reduce that awful emotional crash people feel after prolonged stress or just plain overwork. So this could be really helpful for anyone dealing with chronic stress, decision fatigue, burnout, maybe adrenal overload, or even those mood swings that can come from pushing yourself too hard. It helps you bounce back, essentially.
That's incredibly helpful context. It really sounds like L-tyrosine is doing some vital behind-the-scenes work. Could you maybe break down the biochemical pathway for us? Just in simple terms, how does L-tyrosine actually become these critical chemicals?
Sure, I can simplify that. So when you take L-tyrosine, your body pretty quickly transforms it into another compound called L-dopa. This L-dopa then acts as the immediate trigger, the direct precursor for making dopamine. Once you have that dopamine, it then fuels the creation of both norepinephrine and epinephrine, which again is adrenaline. This whole biochemical chain reaction is absolutely critical for things like your attention span, your emotional balance, that motivation and reward system we talked about, and even your reaction speed in those high stakes moments. Think of your brain's neurotransmitters as like the fuel that drives your focus, mood, motivation. When you're stressed, it's like flooring the accelerator going uphill. You're just burning through that fuel incredibly fast. If you don't have enough L-tyrosine, which is the raw material, the high octane stuff, well, your tank runs dry. That's when you hit that mental wall, the fogginess, lack of drive, maybe burnout. L-tyrosine basically helps refill the tank, allowing these vital functions to keep going optimally.
Refill the tank. Got it. Okay, so if someone listening is thinking about maybe incorporating L-tyrosine, what are the best practices? How do you take it safely and effectively based on what our sources suggest?
Good question. Timing seems to matter quite a bit for getting the best absorption and effect. Generally, it's recommended to take L-tyrosine before mentally demanding tasks. So yeah, public speaking, exams, intense work sessions, that kind of thing. Taking it on an empty stomach is usually advised because it competes with other amino acids for absorption into the brain. If you know you're heading into a predictable, stressful situation, like a big presentation, maybe taking it 30 to 60 minutes beforehand could be beneficial. Just one thing to keep in mind, probably best to avoid taking it too late in the day. For some people, it might interfere with sleep.
Right, makes sense. What about dosage?
Dosage can vary quite a bit. The sources suggest a range, typically anywhere from 300 milligrams up to maybe 2,000 milligrams per day. But it really depends on individual needs and the situation. The standard advice is always to start low, maybe around 300 to 500 milligrams. See how that feels, and only increase if you feel it's necessary and actually helping you.
And safety. Any concerns there?
In terms of safety, L-tyrosine is generally considered safe when you stick to recommended doses. Side effects are pretty rare, but they can happen. Some people might experience a bit of nausea, especially if they take it on a full stomach. Headaches can occur, particularly at higher doses, and like I mentioned, possibly insomnia if taken too close to bedtime. But here's something really crucial. If you are taking any medication or if you have a thyroid disorder, it is absolutely essential to talk to your doctor first. L-tyrosine can potentially interact with thyroid hormones or certain types of antidepressants like MAOIs, so you just need to be informed and safe about it. Always check with a healthcare professional.
That's really important advice.
Yeah.
Okay, so given all these benefits and the practical points, who specifically might benefit most from thinking about L-tyrosine?
Well, the sources paint a few clear profiles. You might find L-tyrosine beneficial if you frequently experience that kind of deep mental exhaustion, or if you struggle with staying sharp, specifically when you're under pressure. Also, anyone with a particularly demanding work or study schedule might find it supportive. And it's a good option for people looking for more natural ways to support their dopamine production and build stress resilience, maybe without turning to stimulants. Basically, if you want to boost your focus without potentially getting the jitters or that crash you can get from, say, lots of caffeine, L-tyrosine is certainly something worth considering.
That brings up a great point. How does it actually stack up against other popular focus aids? Things like caffeine or maybe some of those synthetic nootropics people talk about. Is it more like adding a turbocharger, or is it like putting premium fuel in the tank?
That's a really key distinction, and I like the analogy. Unlike caffeine or many synthetic nootropics, L-tyrosine works with your body's natural chemistry. It's not really about overstimulating your system or setting you up for a crash later on. It's more about helping restore balance when your brain's natural reserves are running low due to stress. So yeah, think of it more like that premium fuel, ensuring your engine runs optimally, especially under stress, rather than just hitting a temporary boost button. And interestingly, it also seems to pair well with other natural supplements if you're looking for a more rounded approach. Things like magnesium L-threonate for neuroprotection, L-theanine for that kind of calm focus, rhodiola rosea for more general adaptogenic stress support, and even vitamin B6, which actually helps in the dopamine synthesis pathway itself. So it can be part of a broader, more holistic toolkit, not just a standalone stimulant.
Okay, so bringing this all together, L-tyrosine really seems to act as a kind of biochemical buffer, doesn't it? Helping your brain stay clearer, calmer, more focused, exactly when it matters most. It's a natural dopamine precursor and potentially a really powerful ally for anyone navigating mental fatigue, that feeling of information overload or even performance anxiety.
Absolutely. And I think this knowledge really empowers you, the listener, to understand your brain's fundamental needs a bit better, especially when it's under duress. Whether you're an entrepreneur driving a startup, a student burning the midnight oil, or, a high-performing professional juggling countless responsibilities, L-tyrosine is a tool you might consider adding to your mental wellness toolkit to help navigate those pressures maybe a little more effectively.
So given this insight into L-tyrosine and your brain's chemical needs under pressure, here's something to think about. How might you approach your own mental wellness toolkit differently when you're faced with those overwhelming demands? Something to consider until our next deep dive.
Thanks for tuning in to the Scenario Podcast. Don't forget to visit scenario.com for more expert tips, articles, and supplements designed to support your mental health. If you enjoyed this episode, remember to subscribe and share it with a friend. Until next time, take care of yourself.